Right now, I'm here to introduce a speaker that I'm very excited to hear. He was the Commissioner of the Department of Agriculture from '83 to '91 and a graduate of the University of Texas as well as Columbia University. Here he's called America's #1 populist, and I do know he was one of Bernie's strongest supporters throughout the election. And he is the loudest voice in Texas on progressive issues. I'm honored to be here with him today and to share the stage with him. His name is Jim Hightower. Why don't y'all give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a wonderful afternoon. This crowd gathering in here, you're double what we were expecting to have, so that's the good news to start with. Thanks to Jared, who was one of the earliest local candidates in America to be endorsed by Our Revolution, the national group, and now running for city council over there in Natchitoches. So thanks to Jared, Claretta, and for allowing this rowdy bunch to come into this Union Hall here, and Mitzi and the terrific work that she and her committee have done in getting us together, making these great posters, etc. And then Danny and Barbara Fatante, who have been organizers forever, union organizers, community organizers, and Danny and Barbara organized the first Bernie meeting in Austin a couple of years ago. We expected maybe 200 to show up. It was at the IBEW hall. We had 600 show up and I said to Bernie, leading him in, that I think something's happening here. And he said, yes, I do too. It's pretty astounding. It was the forerunner of the big crowds that he was drawing. So, hello, revolutionaries. We're all gathered here to make a little something happen too. It's a joy to be with you corporate greed whackers and right-wing butt kickers as we gather here right here in East Texas, really the historic heart of Texas populism, to strategize, organize, harmonize, and mobilize for the purpose of building our revolution. Our goal is straightforward: harness grassroots people power to rebuild an unabashedly progressive movement that is of, by, and for the people of Texas, rather than a politics of, by, and for the moneyed interests. You know, Patti Smith had that great song that could be our anthem. People have the power to dream, to rule, to wrestle the world from fools. That's what we're about. And we're out to do just that. To put forth and elect little d Democratic candidates at all levels of government, local, all the way through the congressional, Senate, and eventually the presidency as well, to displace that corporate cabal of plutocratic, autocratic, theocratic, kleptocratic, right-wing fools now running roughshod over us down in Austin and up in Washington, D.C. The whole bunch of them wouldn't make good landfill from what I've seen. They're as confused as goats on AstroTurf, you know, when it comes to figuring out what they're supposed to be doing, who they're supposed to be serving. So that's our focus. Bernie said just last August that campaigns end on Election Day. Revolutions don't. Revolutions perpetuate. And that's what we're trying to get going. He ignited a people's revolution, first in his campaign and now with Our Revolution, the organization that he has spun off nationally. I'm on the national board of that outfit, but we here in Texas are the first state affiliate of Our Revolution. So we're the pioneers to see if we can't build something here. And they chose us rather than something easy like California, because it is hard, but also because if Texas turns blue, and I don't mean just the Democratic Party establishment, I mean progressive blue, then the whole nation turns blue. We can make it happen right here. So I'll just say to you that what we realize, and I think what spurred a lot of people into Bernie's campaign, and now into meetings like this all over Texas, is that it's no longer enough just to be progressive. We've been passively progressive for a long time, but the powers that be have turned radically regressive. And so we've got to get aggressive again. Progressive, aggressive. That's our agenda right there. I come to you not just from Austin, but from South Austin, and over there on the south side of the river. We have a little more irreverent attitude over there. Molly Ivins and I live over on that side, we have an unofficial slogan on the south side. It's we're all here because we're not all there. And I think that's why we're gathered here in this Union Hall this afternoon, is because we see that the powers that be in this country are not at all there in terms of grasping the essential notion of America, which is that we're all in this together. They've decided that they can separate themselves from the rest of us. And when I say the powers that be, that's not just the political powers, but especially the financial and corporate powers in our country. They're knocking down the middle class or holding down the poor. We've gone in 30 years' time from Ronald Reagan's trickle-down economics to the Koch brothers' tinkle-down economics. Economists actually have a technical term for what those powers are doing to us. The term is stealing. Remember that song Woody Guthrie had? It's through this world I travel, I see lots of funny men. Some will rob you with a 6-gun and some with a fountain pen. It's the fountain pens who are doing the serious stealing in our society today. And I can define the robbers for you in terms of the privatizers and downsizers, the Walmart wage whackers and big oil frackers, the bosses, bankers, big shots, bastards, and bullshitters who think that they're the top dogs and we're just a bunch of fire hydrants out here in the countryside. Well, now the thieves are all the way deep into the White House, a menagerie of laissez-faire land corporatists, gone from kleptocrats to a kakistocracy. You know what that is? Look at a kakistocracy, government by the very worst people in society. That's what they're put together up there. Our tweeter-in-chief last week said that of the health care, because he's saying we're going to pass health care my first week in office. And it turns out to be a little more difficult than that. And he said the other day, he said, nobody knew health care was so complicated. And his first economic program is not to help working people, it's to deregulate Wall Street. He's got 6 Goldman Sachs executives in the top ranks of the economic positions in our national government. Then he's going to build that $20 billion wall on our border. And then he sums it all up saying, I'm the one who can do it. I can fix America. Of course, he uses fix like your veterinarian does. Ask your dog if you're confused on that. I hear Trump and I think, 100,000 sperm and you were the fastest? That just doesn't seem possible. Well, my message to you here today is that it's up to us, not up to Bernie Sanders, not up to the Democratic Party. It's up to us, you and me at a grassroots level, precinct by precinct, block by block, town by town, county by county, to create a revolution that would do what that poster over there says, a future to believe in. Donnie Trump can't create a future for us that we would believe in. We've got to create our own future, and that is the only way that democracy can work. I was with Bernie many moons ago now when he first ran for Congress up in Vermont, doing some campaigning with him. We were at Mount Pillier, their state capital, and on the Capitol grounds, held a rally. And after the rally, a guy came up wearing a big old button, best political button I've ever seen. It said, wearing a button is not enough. We can't be a nation of button wearers. We got to go to work. We got to make this country our own. And that's what our Revolution Texas is all about. We're going to build a grassroots political movement through you again in Texas. And I say again because we've been here before. I'm going to refer to that in a moment. But we can do this if good folks like you who put Bernie on the map can just do it at the local level, and we'll work together. Our Revolution Texas, our state office down in Austin, we've got tools to help you organize. We will work with you to reach out to other people who are not here today but will be here tomorrow if we just begin to talk to them. Jesse Jackson years ago said we might not all have come over on the same boat, but we're in the same boat now. That's a hard political reality. So we got a lot of folks out there who are looking for help, and more are going to be looking as well. We'll help you recruit candidates, campaign managers, organizers. We'll bring trainers in. So we become a professional organization, but very, very rooted grassroots. And we're going to do fundraising, because guess what? ExxonMobil's not going to finance our Revolution Texas. And we don't want any fat cats funding our operation. That's why we call it our revolution. The only way to make it ours is that it is ours. We run it at the local level, and we pay for it at the local level. Now, it doesn't cost anything to participate in our revolution, but we are going to dun you again and again and again, passing the bucket, doing what you can. Maybe you got a dime, maybe you got $1, $10, maybe you're a lawyer and you got $100, maybe, who knows. Whatever you got, though, we want. We want you to put it in to the fund. So that's the way we're going to power this thing. And we're going to work with you on all of this, not just to raise issues, but to run candidates, to win with those candidates, and then to govern, put our agenda in to public policy. That's what we're out to change the public policy of Texas for the people of this state. Now, cynics will say, oh, well, Hightower, you can't win. The ragtag people out there in Smith County and Nacogdoches and Texarkana and all through this, they can't put anything together. The corporation got all the money. They got all the politicians. They got the media. Well, as a friend of mine who's been a pioneer in the organic movement put it, those who say it can't be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. We're going to be the ones who are doing it. We're going to do it. They say that Texas is a right-wing state. Well, that's horse hockey. Texas is not a right-wing state. It's a non-voting state. We had the lowest voter turnout in the last congressional election in the country. The lowest. 28% of eligible people voted. That means those little goofballs down there in Austin in the legislature getting elected with about 17% of the people of our state. And many of them are winning with 50, 80, 100 vote margins. We get 101 more voters in that district, we win that seat. And that's the kind of targeting we're going to do. We're going to find where these districts are. We've got people already working on that. And then we're going to come in and with you, find candidates who can run against them, who are credible, who are strong, articulate, and et cetera. Ordinary folks, we don't want any pros coming in here. We will be the candidates ourselves. It will be our politics and our revolution. Well, finally, my message is we can do this. In fact, we have done it before. It is a movement just like this, starting in places just like this, back in the 1950s, that elected Ralph Yarborough to the U.S. Senate. That elected, done deliberately, and a whole movement was created, including the creation of the Texas Observer to be a communication mechanism. Back then, we had no communication mechanism for us. They put organizing together, Harris County Democrats, block captain program down there. Elected Yarborough, elected Barbara Jordan, elected Henry B. Gonzalez out of San Antonio, elected all sorts of good people. A movement was launched. And out of that, thanks to Yarborough being in office, Wayne Justice became a federal judge right here in this district and made enormous changes. So not only are elections winnable by us, but then changes come from those elections. And we had, you might remember in '82, we had a unified campaign here, overtly progressive. Ann Richards running for treasurer, Jimmy Maddox running for attorney general, Gary Morrow for land commissioner, and me for ag commissioner. We ran a unified campaign and we all won because we were unified, because we put forward actual vision and actual topics that made people want to go vote. The key to turn out is turn on. It's that simple. And that's the program that we're going to put forward, a bold program for Texas. Well, I'll leave you with this. There's a little hardware store near my home in South Austin called Harold's Hardware. It's not one of these big box things. It's about the size of this room, in fact. But it's a great place. You don't have to buy that whole carton of nails. They'll sell you 2 nails if that's what you need. They'll say, well, what are you trying to do? Well, I want to build a lectern. Well, let's pencil it out here and see what you need. They'll loan you a tool. You could take a power saw home and bring it back. And the slogan at Harold's Hardware is, together, we can do it yourself. That's got to be our slogan, doesn't it? Let's team up, and together we'll do it. Thank you for what you're doing. Proud to be with you.